one of the benefits, we've lost some rights, but one of the big benefits we do have as trade creditors is this PMSI, this purchase money security interest. The beauty about this PMSI is it gives you a super priority, which effectively means if you jump through all the hoops, you've got the best possible right to your goods. No one else can have a better right to your goods than you. Timing here is crucial. So if my goods are going to become inventory in my customer's hands, I need to have registered before I've given up possession. And in other circumstances, most other circumstances, it needs to be within 15 days. So I've got to get that registration right, and I've got to get that timing right if I want to have my PMSI. What we need to think about in a practical context is, well, this is all about avoiding priority fights. So just about every one of your customers is going to have a fixed and floating charge in favour of their bank, and that usually will have been created earlier in time than your interest. What we want to be able to do is have the super priority, and we want to be able to trump the bank, and we want to be able to say, yes, those goods, I've got a super priority, I'll have them back. The bank, sorry, you can't have them. If we get the timing of registration right, we should be fine. If we don't, we've got problems. So that's the scenario we're really thinking about here. One of the really big issues about PMSIs and how they apply in practice is with all monies clauses. So it's pretty usual to have a retention of title clause that covers all monies that are owing to you. If we think about how this applies in practice, while it wasn't an item in dispute in WOW because it was all about the transitional provisions, the set of facts here is exactly what we anticipate will come up dealing with PMSIs and all monies clauses. So let's just think about a practical scenario. We've got WOW in receivership and also in administration. One of our clients, Time Universal, owed $500,000, and there's $500,000 worth of stock sitting there in the possession of WOW. So who can tell me how much my client's going to be out of pocket? Not quite as simple as that. The real answer is it depends on how much of those goods remain unpaid for. PMSIs do away with your rights as your all monies rights, essentially. To be able to have this PMSI interest, we need to be able to point to specific goods, a specific invoice, and show that those goods are still unpaid for. So out of that $500,000 worth of stock sitting in the receiver's possession, we've got to go and do a reconciliation. We've got to go and look at all of those items of stock. We've got to see which ones have been paid for, which ones haven't technically been paid for. If they haven't been paid for technically, that's fine. My PMSI interest is good. But if they've technically been paid for, I can't go and get my stock back, even if I'm owed money for something else. So who thinks it's a little bit unfair that our rights as ROT creditors to rely on all monies clause has been taken away? A little bit unfair? Anyone like a solution? Righto. So what we want to do, it's all about the allocation. We need to be able to point to goods and show that they're unpaid for. It's an accounting exercise, isn't it? So how do we work out what's allocated? It's a contractual term. So what do we want to do? We want to update our terms of trade to make sure that our allocation clause allows us to allocate and reallocate goods in a way that's going to maximise the value of our PMSI claim. Our lessons here. Firstly, PMSI doesn't necessarily give you the super priority over all of your goods, only the ones that are unpaid for. So we need to make sure our terms of trade have been updated so we've got favourable allocation and reallocation of proceeds clauses. We also, again, want to make sure we get this stock take done as soon as possible. I've got the onus of proving this PMSI claim. The receiver or the liquidator isn't going to help me. So how do I do a reconciliation if I can't say what items of property were there, what items weren't? How do I reference them back to my invoices if I haven't done a stock take? And what if I do a stock take 2 months later after the stock's been sold? How's that going to help me? I need to get that stock take done as soon as possible. I touched there on reallocation of proceeds clauses. That's just one example of why getting the terms of trade is so crucial. Aside from registration, as trade creditors, getting those terms drafted and redrafted to cover your rights under PPS is one of the most important things that you can do. What we've found over the last 18 months is our clients who were the early adopters, and we've had some clients that had their terms redrafted even before the legislation came into place, and they've been ahead of the game and they've been covered the whole way through. Because they're so proactive though, they've been saying to us, hey, Karl, you guys have learnt some really good lessons over the last 18 months. I want to make sure I've got the best terms I can have. Let's make sure we're updating them along the way. So they've been getting those initial terms updated so they're constantly getting the best level of protection. And our really proactive clients have been saying to us, I've got these great terms, I'm really comfortable with that, thank you, but come and see how PPS applies in my business. What am I missing? What am I not seeing here? And it's interesting, some of the clients that we've gone out to, we've done these terms, the terms have been great, but when we dug around, we found out that, for instance, their sales guys were entering into site-specific contracts, or they were getting purchase orders coming in that said, the terms on these purchase orders cover the terms for our business dealings together. So that side deal cut out all of the PPS rights that our clients had otherwise put into place. We've also seen situations where terms are being updated and they're effectively releasing personal guarantees. So getting the terms right, that's the most crucial bit. That's step one. But how does it apply in our business? It depends on how proactive you want to be and how serious you are about minimising your risk.